It's just a walk in the woods, he said. It's going to be casual work, he said. Just a little exploring, he said.
Jest tam to po
Oh
prawej?
yeah, this one you will like, Tino.
All the crap we have to dig through here.
Somewhere there, where the stone is.
Over the years now, we've gone through the German nuclear bomb project, and I have gone through the documentation, the books, and the reports. I now find it extremely possible that the German development of a nuclear weapon was far more advanced than history have since led us to believe. We have heard from the many eyewitnesses, such as Clara Werner in Jonastal, or the report by pilot Hans Sinzer. Both witnessed what bears all the signs of two separate German nuclear bomb tests in 1944 and 45. We know from Kurt Dietmer's nuclear reactor in Stadilm just how small a nuclear reactor could be set up with the minimal support of just one diesel generator. And we have been through the nuclear test site in Jonastal too, General Kammler's playground. We have heard in the report to Stalin how the German test was set up in detail. And of course we know from Carter Heydrich's research how the American stockpile of uranium suddenly increased exponentially right after the war. Also, Rainer Kalasch has detailed the German nuclear project in Jonastal. And I told you just how much uranium the Russians captured at the Auerwerke in 1945 alone. But now there may be more. For this we have to travel back to the general area of Project RIESE, to a stone quarry about 46 kilometers from the known Project RIESE sites. A report I received from my friend Johann von Gruen, which was originally drawn up by a German scientist in Munich after the war, who worked on this new site. Now, this is a topic fraught with rumors. However, my friend has also found something underground that makes it extremely hard to dispel just this report, and the details in the report makes me have to share it with you. Now, we know the S3 Jonastal was mirrored by the RIESE project, and begun only as the Russians came closer to the RIESE location. Now, I have always questioned why or how we have come to believe that the RIESE project was only contained within these known tunnel systems and the castle, all of which I have taken you through. And we have searched these for clues to what was done here. Since the Henge was not part of the RIESE project and is said to have a vast underground of mines that were used for something, and this had the potential of being a much larger part of a picture of technological research and the development plans of such, I always thought there could be more than those sites we know of, especially given this new report that cites a huge nuclear production facility just over the hill from the Henge, literally. And Tomasz Zurich and other historians have cited many of the wartime prisoners who claim to have worked in huge large underground bunker complexes in the same area. These have still not been found, but the eyewitnesses are numerous, and we don't know what is actually under the Henge either, since these tunnels and mines were filled up, possibly in an attempt to cover up the research or weapons dumped here by the retreating Germans or the SS. What else do we know? We know that the Germans always put weapons, such as jets and rockets, into active production before the kinks were even worked out. The V-2 launch sites and manufacturing of the rockets began before the missile actually flew successfully. And we also know that German scientists were the most advanced in nuclear research and manufacturing of radioactive materials long before the war started. So, with brilliant engineers in charge, men such as Dr. Kammler, under command of a far-sighted man like Heinrich Himmler, who was putting his people in points of control with plenty of funding from early on. So why is it we think that the Germans did not begin production of nuclear bombs and components before the testing was completed? Of course they did. And even before the means of delivery had been perfected. Of course they did. We know from the post-war Russian testing of the German bomb design that it was functional. And one more note. Remember how the Americans received German U-boat 234 just as the war ended, and its cargo, among which was 16 infrared proximity detonators that was needed to set off a nuclear device, and their designer, Dr. Hans Schlickert, without which the American bomb would not have worked. So with all this in mind, we are going to a site 46 kilometers east of the Henge, an area outlined in the German report, citing the following. Under and around the quarry in January 1943, the construction of 3 large underground tunnel factories with above-ground support buildings, factories, and command bunkers began. Also a 4th underground tunnel system for waste management and handling. These tunnels had connection to the Reichsbahn, which ran throughout the area, and also so did power lines supplying the area with electricity, just like it does today. These underground tunnels of 22 factory tunnels on several levels with ventilation shafts had numerous train exits and main entrances through the middle of the quarry. Each factory section had its own command staff and bunker, skilled labor assigned. It was one enormous underground factory complex in order to manufacture heavy water, plutonium, uranium, and several construction setups for uranium and plutonium bombs. Still today, some of the wartime barrack buildings are still here, but the quarry has grown, and it is still in use, so the entrances, ventilation shafts have been covered or destroyed. But the rail entrances into the tunnels we can still see in the landscape with the naked eye. And in the nearby mountains we see a water support building exactly identical to the one at the Sorbonne RIESE project site. 13,400 prisoners was initially tasked with the construction of these, under the command of the German physicist Dr. Gerhard Lohse, with 650 skilled laborers. It was claimed that the remaining prisoners who were still alive at the time of the complex abandonment was supposedly killed by the use of sarin gas, somewhere towards the southeast. In one of the underground factories was run by Dr. Hovos. He ran the plutonium enrichment facility named Kunau West, where plutonium plates were manufactured consisting of 15% raw uranium and 85% plutonium. The bombs were assembled here, and the proximity sensors arrived from Landshut, but was not installed. The average that took the factory 3 months to produce 1 bomb, with at least 5 produced. 4 was set to remain on site in the above-ground factory and 1 more inside the tunnels below. The factory was abandoned in March 1945, which were 2 months before the Russians entered the area, so that tells me it was an orderly relocation that had taken place. The report is incomplete, and it is not clear if the finished bombs remained hidden or were later removed. The second facility, named Kunau Süd, was run by Dr. Siegfried Petter, a physicist from Hessen, with 450 skilled workers who were producing heavy water. However, this production had begun already in March of 1942 in 9 tunnels, with planning notes dating back to 1936. A total of 3,700 barrels with 50 liters of heavy water was said to be delivered, except for 250 barrels, which is still claimed to be inside the factory tunnel. The production was closed on March 22, 1945. The water supply came from the west reservoir near Sobotka, through pipes with a diameter of 30 centimeters, 2.6 kilometers in length. 3 tunnels led north to the railroad, 37 machines in the tunnels for the production, 9 liters of water was processed per machine within 24-hour time span. There was always 5 machines idle for maintenance, and there were complaints that the quality of workers were very low, with 30% sick. 85 people died there. An interesting note is that some of the text of the report is written in present tense, noting it might be partly from an original wartime report. Then towards the Kretschmer Mountains towards the east, uranium bombs were manufactured by Dr. Siegfried Loewe by 650 specialists, 26 men of the managerial staff, 20 factory rooms, in 20 by 40 meters in size. Production ran from January 1943 to March 25, 45. The bombs were manufactured with 4.3 meters long and 1.9 meter in diameter. 5 detonators were supplied from Landshut. A second heavy water production facility near Striegelmühle to the northeast was located and run by Dr. Engineer Victor Strusser with 780 skilled personnel and 43 command staff. Objects under the factory area were 5 reactors at 110 meters depth, generator site for 3 very large generators, 15 meters long, in 120 meters depth. Engines for propulsion ran on chlorine trifluoride. 1 generator always was in maintenance, and above ground there was 3 shafts for nuclear waste, bunker for reactor crew, 2 storages for 4 plutonium bombs, 200 drums filled by heavy water, with 37 machines in operation. Within the area Suboten am Berge was a central command bunker for the main installation under Dr. Engineer Kurt Hohmann. He was also a colonel in the Reichswehr. He had 16 command staff. These were all tasked with the planning and construction of the 9 underground factory areas, with a total of 126 factories. Many underground cavities were used to house 34 reactors, 6 by 3 meter combustion chamber up to 12 meters in diameter, 6 sites for 29 generators, with a total output of 45 megawatts. 5 locations for 180 gas centrifuges, 3 meters high. 3 locations for 36 betatrons, 4 shafts for nuclear waste, 1 location for reservoir construction southeast of Suboten, with all rail links. This breaks down into 9 factory areas, with 3 areas for uranium oxide production, 2 areas for production of small uranium cubes, 2 areas for production of heavy water, 2 areas for production of plutonium bombs, at 13 bombs totally built by 124 management staff and 7,400 personnel that was stationed there. In another part of the area on the Rosenthal Charkov, there was construction of uranium bombs under the command of Dr. Uwe Sissos. Here, 6 round uranium bombs were built, 4.3 meters long, 1.8 meter in diameter. 3 of them are still set to be stored in 3 tunnels, along with 230 wooden containers containing uranium cubes. And it is said that Dr. Sissos continued to work at this factory until November 1945 after the war, and was paid a lot of money in order to organize the handover of the operational factory site. Now, in some of the papers, it's claimed that planning began already dating back to 1930 and continued after the war. This does make some sense if we remember that just like today, industry funds research and politicians alike. And such a large endeavor must have been fronted by big banks and leading industrial partners who actually backed and headed these projects before Hitler came to power. And once he did, by the help of the same people, they merely continued and expanded their projects in what was Germany at the time already. After the war had begun, it expanded further, and as we know, given creative paperwork towards the end of the war, many of those companies held a brief ownership within Switzerland before resuming business as usual. Nothing to see here. But what happened then? Some of the equipment must have been evacuated, moved west, just covered up with some of the bombs possibly still in place today. A stone quarry continues to expand and destroy. It's easy to hide and hard to search. And some equipment may not have made it out as far at all. And some may just hastily have been buried in the nearby area. So what else is here in the area? Here's a castle and a large brewery with lots of tunnels underneath. And towards the end of the war, it was one of the last rallying points for retreating German forces. And this is just a few kilometers from the quarry near the brewery and the castle. Here it was indicated to my friend that something had been buried or hidden, and he found it with his GPR.
The theory is that over here, behind this, from the connecting road and underground tunnel entrances that I covered, is the factory where heavy water and nuclear production bombs were made. And this is completely separate from Project RIESE and started before the war. now hidden, and that's why we're here. Here are the three mountains, and what's interesting is on the mountaintop over here, on the very top, is a water pump house, just like we saw at the Sorbonne complex on top of the mountain. Again, not related to Project RIESE in any way, but why do you put a heavy-duty pump house on top of a mountain unless you intend to build something around there or inside there? Not far from this quarry, where you have several places on the LIDAR that looks like trains could run in there. All of a sudden this opens up a whole new dimension. Lots of names of German officers that I have not yet been told I am allowed by the researchers here to share with you guys, but I've seen them, and if they'll let me share the names of the papers, I will. And next trip, we have to look at this mountain and find out what exactly is in there, what tunnels might be hiding in that.
As the largest known structure, we're going to start at the brewery tunnels. It's a central location and it's been upgraded throughout its existence, and no wartime information exists about it with regards to what it was used for during the war. But as we do know, underground tunnels of breweries were used throughout the Reich, so we're going to start here. And yes, that is Caveat Jones coming with me.
It's just a walk in the woods, he said. It's going to be casual work, he said. Just a little exploring, he said. No problem. There'll be a mini bar at the bottom, he said. No. Holy shit. Holy shit. You could put a whole lot of stuff in here.
Yes.
Built around World War 1817? Time of World War One?
No, it's. I think it's something in 19th century.
It was 19th century.
Or
yeah.
maybe even a little bit earlier.
But you look at this and you go like, with all the industries that moved underground, all the things the Germans were doing at the time of World War II, why wouldn't they use this for something?
Yeah.
It just seems...
It's all granite, you see. You can actually.
You know, I would have thought this was sandstone.
No, not the granite. It becomes grainy when it's not compressed. So that's the chimney to the top.
The family of Kulmis. Von Kulmis.
And we're not the only ones who had the ideas to look through these tunnels and try to break down dividing walls. This is a complex area where it would be quite easy to hide something, seal it up and move on, as we expect we found on top of the hill.
Well, this is pretty. So this is not as complete as the one in there. There's no red bricks here?
No.
Or there was.
Actually, on this wall you can see original chisel markings. Because this wall is still original, this one eroded.
So why did they stop building?
Czy tu skończyli budowę, czy jak to było?
Nie, zostawili.
They just left it like that. I
Yeah.
think they were not interested in having more of the underground storage. And some of the rooms that they have been using before, they have not been using anymore. You will see the more advanced rooms actually here. Is there a way through?
Probably this room
Yeah.
was used for ice. No?
Yeah, with a slide.
Yeah.
This would have been a slide for ice. From, yeah.
This would just be such a convenient place to stop over, store things during the war, make small-time production, or afterwards hide something and cover up walls.
Oh kurwa, no.
Magazine.
The magazine is warehouse.
Warehouse for ice here.
Yeah.
Could be.
Ice storage.
Oh, ice storage.
That's
yes.
the word we've been looking for. Idziemy dziurą?
We can go there and we can go another way.
It's a hell of a construction.
Dobra, zaczniemy od góry. Skończymy na dole.
Od góry czego?
Tu.
No problem.
Do you remember the text I sent you via mail today?
Well, I only skimmed it on the way over here, so if there's any details I missed.
This is a technology, you know, for the ice.
Like I told you with the double
Yeah.
arch.
Here, they put it ice
In between the arches.
Yeah.
to make the cellars cold.
To make the room underneath cold.
Yeah.
Because they had a lot of problems with beer getting bad actually because of the temperature. And then they had problems with water quality because they were taking the water from the pond, which is not the cleanest water, it's standing water.
1892.
1892.
Yeah.
The construction, because the excavations took place a little bit earlier. Skąd są same ten? Tunele?
Yeah, of course.
No nie, to właściwie w tym samym czasie oni podali.
And in these tunnels, there's a lot of decades and decades of construction of multi-layered tunnels in various directions, sizes, shapes, which makes exploring them complicated.
So they built this brick wall down here as well, the big bricks, and then with only the arches of red stone.
Oh, I'm not so sure that your huge chest will fit in here.
Yeah, I keep telling you, I'm not a scrawny little guy. I'm not a skinny thing. So this is the roof of the tunnel when it looks nice and clean.
Yeah.
And you put the ice in between here. So where would the ice come from here?
Actually, I think that was not bricked up, so they were using those tunnels.
Well, isn't that a slide?
No, that's just the ventilation, and it's filled with garbage.
Oh, the electricity.
That was, yeah.
And earlier, here.
Oh, so there would be slides for the ice, right? They would almost have. It would be so much easier.
Co to jest? Handle.
For a why would they run electricity in here?
Dlaczego to była elektryczność?
No to przedtem, zanim było to,
Before they constructed this.
You think they did all this to put electricity up for the construction?
This had been electrified in the 1890s, which is like pretty early period when it comes to electricity.
Yeah.
And it was before this was built.
This inside.
Yeah.
This is the original roof of the tunnel.
It came later anyway, like it
That
took them a
makes
couple
sense.
of years to figure out that actually it's not cold enough, so they had to build a new one.
here is the next corridor
The parallel one. I think.
connecting these two tunnels, rooms,
Yeah,
chambers here. And we have 3 connections.
Yeah.
1, 2, and 3. And here.
It looks like it's prepared for ventilation, but they actually haven't made it yet. They haven't managed to finish it.
Or something fell on it.
Oh yes.
Could be locked. Although you would build that hole before you build anything else. Other things we're gonna do for history.
One of the things I'm specifically looking for in here is covered up tunnels. If this is just an old brewery, which it is, that was in use as a brewery, there's been no reason to here on top of the old hallways cover up any entrances or doorways, which seems to be the case in some parts of this, which is why we have to take the very scenic tour and see what is actually hiding behind the walls,
Is the factory building still there?
Like the main building of the
Yeah.
brewery? Yes. but it's the one which is polluted the most, I mean by the garbage. On the underground part like this are relatively clean.
Hey, new bat friend. I always make new bat friends.
Here you can see marks of the people who are still at the
Look, Chuck.
Coming. Yeah.
It's covered by the stone. You see?
Yeah. Well, we met one confused bat. He's not telling.
Zawalonego.
Tylko tu mu pokażę jedno miejsce. There is one maybe interesting part because you can see how thick the wall really is and that some people are actually still looking for something here.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Look how
yeah.
many brick layers. It's not 2, it's not 4, at least 6 or 8 that are visible. Who knows what's behind it?
That's interesting. Why would you even want to do that?
Yeah, especially that you already have an arch above it. Yeah, we will come back here later.
I mean, you can see this was really pretty. It was well made.
Yeah, it is. It always is.
I know. I love those stars.
Exactly.
I always love those connections. It's old architecture. You just don't build them like this anymore.
Odchodziłeś, tak? Pamiętasz?
Chyba było, no.
No, ale tam jest ta leżakownia, tam wiesz, bliżej rynku. To jest ciasno tam trochę. Co to jest? Czy to nie jest to, co ja...
To jest wskazówka, zobacz. Masz wskazówkę, kilogramy, to jest odwagi.
No.
That's from a scale.
Pressure gauge, or is it pressure gauge? It's a pressure gauge.
It says kilograms on it. And there you can see the arrow of the pointer.
But isn't that for an air? That's for an air connection.
Maybe.
There's got to be a pressure gauge.
No to
That's interesting.
Ja. Tu idziemy, nie? Dobra?
Why?
O wie.
Maybe traces of World War II or something. Inside the actual tunnels.
You remember about the tunnel I told you? There should be a room behind it. We see the arch on the entrance, but we don't see the tunnel itself.
Yeah.
That's the arch from the above. We will see the same construction from underneath this ceiling. And then another one. I think another one you can get in, but this one not. And I don't know if I'm going too far or not, but yeah, it's like... Yeah, this wall is interesting, guys.
Probably there is another room
Yeah.
Behind it. And you will soon see why.
but it's closed.
It's interesting how they locked it off with a railroad beam.
So it looks like all of the sand came from a hole in the ceiling, so maybe it was a shaft, I don't know. This direction too. Both of the sides are collapsed, even though you can see on the side that this tunnel went further. And those are those tunnels that allegedly went into the direction of the castle on the top of the hill.
But what is this?
You mean like this,
This.
embankment here?
Is this not a tunnel? Is this stone or is this cement?
But why do I see here something?
To mogło z góry zlecieć, wiesz?
Oh, that's a geocache. Geocache.
This is very interesting because
It's just the marks.
handiwork.
Yeah.
You know what geocache is?
Very old work.
Yeah.
Before the brewery was built.
Before. So what do we think was here before the
Some
brewery?
kinds of undergrounds were digging by the monks, I see.
I mean, I always refer back to what Werner Grothmann said after the war, that all over Germany they built a lot of tunnels, but they also connected a lot of existing cavities with tunnels. So they built less and connected more. So, and it just makes sense. There was teams in Germany from the early 40s that traveled all over the occupied territories looking for underground cavities just in case. So here's a beer cellars and underground mountain caves. Just makes sense to use.
Maybe another way here. Maybe.
Another reason for it, yeah.
Yeah, because all that dirt didn't come down from nowhere.
Wejdziemy tam.
Interesting.
Do ostatniej leżakowni. I próbujemy zejść.
Later on we will look at it from the lower perspective.
Yeah, the actual insides. How did they get into the insides? There must be an
They
east-
had some openings like the doors underneath the ceiling.
How'd
With
they
some
get-
steps on it.
Oh yeah, that's the holder for the beer. I see that. For the beer, beer with the big,
Yeah.
oh, let's call it container.
Barrels. Beer tank.
Tank! With all the crap we have to dig through here. At least I hope to find a German helmet at the end of this. I'm just saying. Damn it.
Tam jest ta druga leżakownia.
Ah, it's the outside. I remember the outside. Vaguely. But there must be something World War II because it's full of tires. Shoot, I'm guessing. Alright, I mean, in order for this to be useful for any kind of production and storage for the military, has to be a better way in than this. Alright, go on. So we're back on top of another tunnel. We can almost walk upright. Shocking.
Well, I have no idea how are you going to make it, but you have to.
Yeah, very funny. I wouldn't be so. I've done almost that stupid, but not lately.
Tam pójdziemy. Idziemy, tak.
It's a little sad that we're in a place originally built by monks to make people happy by giving them beer, and people still throw their trash in here and tackle the graffiti. It's very undignified. Anyway, moving to the next hole. A little better idea what they did here. They built these. Now I'm standing on a very small, a smaller tunnel entrance into the main here. This is the covering of one of the tanks. So an interesting question will be, did they actually make beer during the war, or were they shut down for something else, even storage? But we'll get inside these to tell. Oh, geez, that looks fun, doesn't it? That way?
I tam zejdziemy takim samym oknem na dół.
A, wiem o czym.
I tam są te pręty w tym wyciętym, w tej wyciętej ścianie. Jest tam to po
Oh
prawej?
yeah, this one you will like, Tino.
Huh?
Get out here.
Right tunnel is the way to ventilation. And left, you can go
Way down. Just see how deep this is.
Huh?
Nie jest połączony.
And this is probably one of the more uncomfortable places I have been. What I wouldn't give for a partially regular collapsed tunnel.
Oh shit, I jumped down the wrong side. I thought I could get over. I thought I could go through the room. So I have to go over there to get in.
Jest lodówka?
No, no nie.
Aha.
Did you get in first?
Yeah.
No daj rzecz tu gdzie. Oh, that's the jumping place I was looking for.
Thanks. So, doesn't look like any of this was changed in any way. Looks like the brewery setup. And that's okay. We were sort of expecting to find the brewery. I just want something more. This is where we were. We came in on top of this. Well, this definitely looked like a brewery. Who's talking?
The people.
Oh, in here?
Yeah.
Cool. Bonjour. Dobra. So English doesn't work, German doesn't work, French doesn't work. I'm running out of languages. I'm not going to say hi in Russian. I'll just get shot.
To jest to stąd? No dobrze.
Well, it's not cold, it's not warm. I will drink beer from the temperature it is here. It's a little chilly. It's not 10, I don't think. But also I'm sweating like a horse climbing down here. So it's hard to judge the temperature just now. But with ice on top, you can see how this will be cold.
So that's the second entrance to the water tunnel level.
The lower level.
The one that's flooded.
Yeah.
I will provide you with a movie from diving over here.
Well, it's nice and clean.
Very.
So this is old and pre-brewery.
To jest przed browarskich czasów? Nie.
To jest zrobione w czasie Kulmica. Kulmis made it in
92.
92.
Oh, it's all the same time.
1992?
1892.
1892.
Okay, sorry.
No, we may have a language issue. Let's just get the dates right.
Later we will show you the second entrance, but as you can see there are 3 tunnels, one's going this way, one
Yeah.
this way.
It looks clean. It looks nice and clean. Mountain runoff.
Yeah, they had, that should be a mountain water, but there was some issue. Powiedz mi, co z tą wodą było, że oni to chlorem coś?
Oni jak były kanalizacje domów i te kanalizacje przesiąkały na dół, to zatruwały to ujęcie wody, wiesz? I oni odpompowali tą wodę, tak, pompą do góry,
No.
wchodzili tam na dół i
They had
chlorem.
a huge problem with the sewage water that was actually seeping through the rock and poisoning this water.
Yes.
So they had to pump the whole water out, get in, and they were using some kind of chlorium spray, so all over the walls, so that it's disinfected, decontaminated, and then they let it refill again.
Yeah, it sounds like something you shouldn't be drinking regardless.
Exactly, but before they were using the groundwater, they have been using the pond water, which is even worse. Yeah, this is how the construction looks like.
Yeah. But like, if this had been used for any kind of wartime construction, they would have at least flat, or even storage, they would have flattened the floors.
Well,
at
this
least.
building itself probably wasn't. But like I said, there are 2 shops right next to it in the same village that are mentioned in this book from Grandfather Bishop.
I mean, this would still be a decent storage.
Yes.
If, I mean, all you have to take out the tank. Was this a brewery after 55? Was this a brewery again after the war? After
Yes, yes,
Okay, so even if they destroyed something, they could have rebuilt it as a brewery.
yes.
Alright, so. Ooh.
Oh, that's.
This is fun.
So, we have been above this ceiling, and I mentioned that there is a arch, and it looks like it goes, but underneath it you cannot see a continuation, and that's actually this place. It really looks like a long entrance. It looks like a long entrance.
Oh.
And of course, no golden train or stuff like that, but it's actually a mystery thing. If you want, we can actually walk above it, and then you can see the wall from the side. And
From the other side?
not the other side, from
that
there is the room behind it, and there is the wall. And you can see that there was one small entrance that was also filled in. So you have actually 3 places that are indicating an entrance for you. It's very similar to the synthetic fuel fabric. They also have similar tanks.
I mean, this would be a good place to store fuel.
Yes.
Was there any synthetic fuel plants around here?
Tutaj raczej nie. O, tej
styrofoam. You know how much I love that. We were walking on this.
Nie, one są całości.
Then you will see the whole building. It's very majestic.
Yeah. No, it'd be nice to see. Oh yeah, I can feel it's getting warmer.
Nie, on chce sobie zobaczyć. No zobaczmy tam i ten. I wrócimy.
Tak?
Okej. No, bo on tam chce koniecznie zobaczyć wejście i...
So, are you telling me that we crawled all the way sideways down all that crap when we can just have walked in?
Yes, but sooner or later we wanted to get to the underground anyway, and we would also have to crawl.
Sooner or later, you would wish I didn't stab you in 4 minutes.
I'm really sorry for that. I mean the garbage everywhere.
Well, oh, that. Not having me crawl sideways like a fucking gopher out of a microscopic hole. He's not sorry about that. No. Having doing my best fruit bat impersonation. No, we're not sorry about that. The garbage that he didn't do, that he's sorry about. He's a good man.
And this is the connection between two parts of the underground.
Really?
Yeah. This.
So,
This tunnel. Engine tunnel.
they always did like to divide things up, didn't they?
That was a huge room. There used to be two big tanks on the left and the right. There used to be some stairs. And it was all construction. Still construction. You could went to the wall, and there was some Polish explorer who was in 1992 with a TV. So anyway, he had some. There was a model there already in the white, and he was also looking for some treasure.
Of course.
They removed some bricks actually, and they went through this wall 30 years ago from now.
Really?
Yes, but jak to było, co tam stoi, jak kamerę?
Three big containers. Two here and one on the.
No dobra, ale on tam wchodził.
TV.
Stoi jak.
TV stoi jak a tam nic nie ma, nie?
Yeah, he checked this part because he had some information and it turned out to be nothing.
Well, I guess they didn't find anything.
Yeah, but because it was 1992, it was not a big problem to actually remove a couple of bricks and do it in front of the camera. Now it would be impossible because probably of some kind of antiquity office or...
The Peruvian fruit bat lives here.
Yeah.
Yeah, something. Is this soot or is that black paint? I mean, it's very evenly black. It's not. Yeah, but yeah, oh yeah, you're right. The walls were white.
There's no ventilation above to the doors and the smoke goes up, so
It's
Still stay.
Yep. It's amazing how much soot absorbs light. This is a really good light, and I almost can't light up the room because it's so, the soot just absorbs it. Just a piece of information, just in case you wondered. Because here you see a similar room that hasn't caught fire, and you see how much light I can actually have in here when it's not sooty. So I hope you have learned one thing from this. Don't burn your house down, would be the lesson. Tell your parents, boys and girls. See here, there's no storage for the barrels or anything. So you could store stuff here. You could have stored stuff.
ale jako magazyn one służyły, nie? Lodów. I stąd później wyprowadzali je tam na te...
Need another ice storage? One of the last rooms underground we are about to see today.
This is different, yeah. So they built this right up against the rock too,
Yes.
and under. That's weird. So was here a hallway?
Yeah, there was a hallway connecting it with the tunnel that we actually just went out from.
And this got bricked up from the inside for some reason. Interesting. Yeah, this got bricked up too. I guess this is the larger one we just saw. Certainly there's room in here to store stuff, but you take all the time to drag a refrigerator in here. You could just have brought a ladder.
To jest ładna rzecz. Proszę. 1, 2. No to byłaby ładna. And here was the gates.
Yeah.
1, 2, and the same here.
This is not even very, I thought this was a little bit above ground, underground. It's really not.
Poszukiwacze skarbu nakręcał, to wszystko było jeszcze przygotowane. Jak wyprowadzili dyrektora ostatniego tego browaru Bednarza, bo on tam mieszkał w tym budynku, nie? Kazali mu się wynieść, to pozostawili wszystkie pocienne, zbiorniki te.
This would have been the easy entrance. Straightforward, ground level. But no, we didn't take that, did we?
Możemy poczekać tutaj na początku.
This fence pole is usually what the military would use for years. This type of thing.
It's the second can. It was taken from military, and the authorities just use it again in this place.
Really?
It can be like
It
that.
could be. I mean,
Brought it over from somewhere else.
barbed wire and everything. Why would you need that here? But this is not typical German design.
No.
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 This is such an interesting that all this is fenced off, barbed wire and everything. They took the time to build what looks like an entrance access. The other tunnel is there, and here's the other tunnel to the underground there, and above here is the very large old brewery building. Now the brewery building's been here for a long time, so there's a large old building with a lot of roof space, infrastructure, and apparently in this area the Germans were very active from even before the war, and there's some very interesting stories going around that we're trying to verify, and this would be a good place to start looking since it is a large industrial structure. So again, it was a brewery after the war. So any kind of modifications, if anything was made, or if they did anything in here, that would have been reversed. So it would have been worked for a brewery again.
So when there are divers coming, they are using this entrance because it's easier.
Small lake.
That's true.
For divers.
So how deep is this?
4 or 5 meters.
So where does it, do we know where to go?
Yes, it's a continuation of the same water tunnel.
Oh, yes,
They are
because-
connected.
No. I tam jest wejście do tunelu.
Now, this tells me that the groundwater here in this area is really high.
Yeah,
Since we're on it, we're uphill as well.
yeah.
So there's a groundwater issue here for tunnels. So any tunnels we might find from the war, they're probably going to be flooded.
In this area, yes. Maybe this will be interesting for you. Because this is like the furthest part, deepest in the mountain, from this side, yeah.
Oh, really?
And it looks like, it's interesting. I have to admit it's interesting.
Jeszcze znalazłem skrzynki po blumie, patrz. Robili bluma orężadę niemiecką. Widzisz? I robili jeszcze aprikola. Też to jest niemieckie było. Widzisz? Tak. No. Jak go zamknęli, to jeszcze robili takie napoje tutaj. Ja mam oryginalne butelki, jeszcze nie wykluczone i skrzynkę. Zastanawiam się, po co były te na poziom. Czy to był poziom? Bo ja nie widzę, że to było jakieś 3 projekty do czwartej strony.
I don't know why there's a hose coming down from this upstairs, but it's not cold in here at all. We're ground level, the rock face to one side, and here's an air shaft, incredibly elaborately built. I don't even know if this is air or this is for ice. There's no reason for it to be ice because upstairs is just more building. It's not like there's no reason for a slide for ice. You can just drive it in here. But it's a beautiful old structure. It really is. It really is something else. See how these are built? You don't build them like this anymore. So you say in this hill behind here, you did the GPR,
Yeah.
and there's something indicating there's something under here, where the water's coming out of a little slab with a tree on top. Okay. Means that there's a reason why it's filling up with water. I mean, it does look like, well, you can almost see an entrance type there.
And probably, just look at this. There is another entrance to the underground of the brewery there.
Oh yeah, there is.
This hole, you know? You see this?
Yeah.
And opposite is the same situation here, under this hill. The same situation is here. And probably there was an entrance under this hill.
And we're thinking tunnel leading up to the castle, because this is the direction of the castle, right?
and we're actually following a straight line from the brewery to the rallying point to the point where the discovery was made. Before and during the war, thousands of installations was established, everything from labor camps, Hitler Youth camps, OT training centers, and so on. Any official camp or lager or any other installation pertaining to the Third Reich was frequently used as a rallying point for retreating soldiers towards the end of the war. So it makes sense that a commander looks at his map and seeks out a place that is known to him, with some established infrastructure. A brewery or a castle near an industrial facility would be a good place for him to go. And here are all the hallmarks of a camp or a fighting position as it's seen here. Furthermore, sadly, the son of the German owner of the castle at the time of the war was shot by the Russian soldiers in those last days as he was hanging up a white flag. And in the ground near here, there are stones such as these that was found, another indicator that something more permanent was here. Unfortunately, they're so overgrown the area is today, it was impossible to find them still.
Ah, that's the place where was the camp of the SS and Wehrmacht at the end of the war.
So they didn't have time to build anything, but they would meet where there already was something. They would usually assemble in places they knew, or they already had some sort of camp, even a work camp. Yeah, there's bricks built into the siding here. And the expectation is that there quite possibly was some tunnel entrance into here. The brewery down there. The castle is up here. And at the end, towards the end of the war, Army and SS units were rallying here. The castle was already occupied by one of the family members who was now serving in the army, so it was a known entity. And here is the round and finish. Yeah, this is nice and round. Yeah. It does. It looks like this is not. Doesn't look natural. It looks like something moved around here. Because if it was runoff, it wouldn't run into a dead end. And the interesting thing is, it does look like a bit of a trench. A lot of rocks here. But down here, you would be guarding the access road to the castle. If I was going to defend the castle, I would sit up here in that hole. Maybe backstood here. I don't know. You see? This? Yeah. All this area is mixed.
Seems to be edited. Somebody
yes,
doing something.
Yes, something's been done to this area. Exploded, blown up. Yeah, if this was a roof of something underneath, and it lifted up and blew down, is that what you're thinking? Explosion underneath? Yeah. Does look like it did lift, and the trees look fairly young, most of them. Of course. And if you had something important you didn't want fallen Russians' hands in a cave underneath here, where you actually have a big plateau. Right now I'm seeing what he's saying. From below it doesn't look this big. You have this big plateau here, and it's expected there's a couple of tunnel entrances here. Even if they were short and they would lead in here, and then you blew up the entrance, because this is not solid rock, it will lift up and settle. And so behind here might be some tunnel. If this was just water runoff, it wouldn't dead end. It would continue over the side and take away dirt and have a little river. This looks like a trench system. This looks like a trench system with little fighting positions.
Here, there, and somewhere there, where the stone is, down there is this machine.
So these are the actual images my friend took of the object. It seems to be placed in an upright way, some 4 meters below the surface. And it is impossible for this to be a natural cavity of any reason. And there's no reason why a technological aggregate to be buried here, or then be hidden. But lowered or installed in a tunnel is quite possible. And before you ask why we are not digging, well, you probably guessed it. It is a natural preserve, so no one is allowed to dig. And a long road of permits will now be pending. But it's not going anywhere. It's public, it's inaccessible, and Johan lives here, so for now it's safe. But what do you think? Could this be related to Project RIESE? Could this be something that is related to the story of the quarry? One piece of machinery, a Betatron, that was removed but couldn't quite make it to Germany and was hidden here post-haste? Or is this something entirely different? Now, of course, I have uploaded all the papers and images and the file to my Lost Battlefields members area with all the other of the research files and archival data and reports that I have, but you have to join Lost Battlefields to visit, and I will share freely with anybody who does. And obviously, we are not done here, not in the quarry or in the mountains, but that's another step towards digging up the truth, and actually physically finding something is good for morale. At least it proves that there are still things hiding in the underground. Now we just have to find out what they are.
So in there, down below, there's a switch.
Yeah.
So you can change the water source for the, you want a stick? Here's a stick.
Somewhere is the switch.
Here, right here.
Okay, yeah. If they had too small water, they use the water from the source, you know.
Yeah.
But this water was a little bit dirty.
So it would be
For production.
need to be filtered
Yeah.
more. But at least it would be a
But-
backup source.
But and it was very big difference between the beer from this source and between the source from the underground water.
I believe it. So it ran all the way through here to the castle, and then from the castle down to the brewery.
This is for brewery and for the castle, because one pipe is going right there and the other pipe is going. No opening.
I just wonder where it came from, because there's a lot of rebar in one little slab with weatherproofing. I mean, and it is weatherproofing. Why ever it's sitting there, whatever it's doing.
Jest zwykła.
Probably foundation for a tank.
And that's the entrance, elevated entrance in this room. This is where it gets out. So underneath us are those chambers.
Oh yeah. So this is where the ice would go in.
Probably.
But seriously, for any kind of, for a lot of military stuff, a brewery and a brewery building is not a bad place to have a whole lot of military stuff move into. A lot of underground, a lot of storage, a lot of room, administration, infrastructure.
So that's this canyon leading to the castle. That's the park, and that's the entrance to the building.
Right.
Let's climb a little.
Tam na dole się wchodzi, bo tam on
Alright, why in the fuck aren't we just walking in the middle? Okay. This is a big tank. Oh yeah.
How is called the plant that you use to make a brewery?
What?
There is a plant that you use to make a brewery. To make a beer. There is a
Plant here. To produce a...
Yeah, this is the barley, right? The wheat or the barley.
Yes, the wheat for the beer. Yeah.
Yeah, it was behind me. It's the big tank it used to go out of or in from it. So, it's a sign to show you that they used to make this after the war again. So we're back to, they definitely repurposed this, made beer here after the war, which also means that whatever was happening during the war, we don't know. Because of course, if anything. Hey. A lot of room to work here.
Sami Amerykanie nagle tu się pojawią. Co robisz?
In the mountain with the castle, there were some, I don't know, barracks for some military, mixed military, SS with Wehrmacht.
Really?
There was also something similar to that in a village next to this village. I mean, when the armies were moving, the front was coming, so that's they were.
So this was only towards the end of the war?
Yeah.
I can question many aspects of the report because I don't have enough provenance. There's lots of details and names to be researched. It could also be an intention to build this facility. However, the dates did lead to the fact that it had been built. It is something that will take us time to explore in an active stone quarry. However, the one thing we do know is the Germans were here. There's lots of signs above ground that they were here. There are hidden tunnel entrances that we can see. And now that we have found a piece of technical equipment in the ground, underground, where it absolutely have no reason to be, it at least lends some credibility to this area needs a lot more exploration. Please join me and become a member of Lost Battlefields. It helps and it makes it possible for me to continue doing my research and eventually, when there's enough of us, helping the people who keep history alive around the world. And all the research pictures and videos are there in the members area for you to download.